6, 1944, nearly 160,000 Allied troops storm the beaches of Normandy. History remembers it as the beginning of the end for Nazi Germany. But what if it wasn't? What if a single unpredictable storm, a delay in communication, and the sudden release of Germany's hidden panzer divisions turned the beaches of France into an absolute slaughterhouse? If D-Day failed, the world we know today would vanish. Welcome to the darkest timeline. To understand the collapse, we have to look at the razor-thin margin of reality. In our timeline, Hitler slept through the initial invasion, and his top commanders hesitated to deploy the reserve panzer divisions. In this dark timeline, German intelligence catches the Allied deception plan, Operation Fortitude. Field Marshal Erwin Rommel is not in Germany for his wife's birthday. He is at the Atlantic Wall. As the morning fog clears, thousands of Allied soldiers find themselves pinned down by an overwhelming force of German tanks. High winds scatter the paratroopers of the 82nd and 101st Airborne deep behind enemy lines, leaving them isolated and hunted. By noon, the English Channel turns red. General Eisenhower is forced to issue the most devastating order of his life: full retreat. Over 40,000 Allied troops are captured or killed in a single day. The psychological impact of a failed D-Day is catastrophic. In the United States, public support for the war plummets. President Franklin D. Roosevelt faces an election in November 1944. With the European invasion in ruins, political rivals demand a shift in focus entirely to the Pacific theater against Japan. In Great Britain, the situation is even more desperate. Prime Minister Winston Churchill faces a vote of no confidence. Having spent years preparing for this single invasion, the British military machine is physically and economically bankrupt. Britain becomes a fortress under siege once more. The German Luftwaffe restarts the Blitz, targeting British ports and factories with absolute impunity. The threat of a German invasion of the UK, Operation Sea Lion, is suddenly back on the table. With the Western Allies pushed back into the sea, Hitler makes a monumental decision. He shifts millions of troops and thousands of tanks from the Western Front directly to the east. In our timeline, the Soviets crushed the German Army Group Center because Germany was fighting a two-front war. In this timeline, the Red Army meets a reinforced, prepared German defense. The Eastern Front turns into a brutal, agonizing war of attrition that lasts for years. Stalin feels completely betrayed by the West. Trust between the Soviet Union and the United States completely shatters, setting the stage for a much hotter, more violent geopolitical split. The failure of D-Day buys Nazi Germany the most precious commodity of all: time. By late 1944, Germany's revolutionary Me-262 jet fighters enter mass production, completely sweeping the Allied bomber fleets from the European skies. Allied daylight bombing raids over German cities grind to a halt. More terrifyingly, Germany's rocket program accelerates. Hundreds of V-2 rockets rain down on London every single week. Deep inside secret facilities, German scientists crawl closer to completing the Uran project, the Nazi atomic bomb. Without the pressure of a Western invasion, Germany secures the raw materials needed to construct a dirty bomb or a primitive nuclear warhead by 1946. Despite Germany's secret weapons, the sheer numbers of the Soviet Union eventually break the Nazi back. But it takes until 1947 and costs millions more lives. Because the United States and Britain never established a foothold in Western Europe, the Red Army doesn't stop at Berlin. Soviet tanks roll through France, Belgium, and the Netherlands. The Iron Curtain does not fall in the middle of Germany. It drops right over the English Channel. Joseph Stalin achieves total dominance over continental Europe. France, Germany, Italy, and Spain become communist satellite states of the Soviet Union. The war finally ends, but the peace is terrifying. The United States drops the atomic bomb on Japan in 1945, bringing a swift end to the Pacific War. But across the Atlantic, they face a monolithic superpower that controls everything from Vladivostok to Lisbon. Great Britain survives as a heavily armed, bankrupt American outpost, constantly threatened by a Soviet-controlled Europe just 20 miles across the water. The Cold War is not a tense standoff between two balanced blocs. It is a desperate struggle for survival for the remaining free democracies. The success of D-Day was never a guarantee. It was a miracle of logistics, bravery, and sheer luck. If those brave soldiers had failed on the beaches of Normandy, the modern world would be unrecognizable, dominated by totalitarianism and endless war. What do you think would have happened? Would the Soviet Union still have won the war alone, or would Nazi Germany have successfully built the atomic bomb first? Let me know your theories in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell for more deep dives into alternative history. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next timeline.